looks good. I think he was good.
Should I get the microphone in the picture?
If you want.
$4,000 with this big
That's
condom.
it?
Was this big condom on it? Yeah, maybe not.
Oh my gosh.
We should talk about Dream On.
Dream On.
Do you have any notes about Dream On?
Yeah, I do. I looked into Dream On. I liked what I found.
Are you going to let me guess what year it was written?
You can play that game. Yeah. You want to guess?
1972. I'm going to say 1972 for every single song. Is it?
1973.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, you were 1 year off. Dream On is the fourth song of the Blurred project. It was, let's see, written by Steven Tyler in 1973. So I did a little digging. I said,
talk about how that's 50 years ago.
That makes a difference to you, but not to me. I was not alive. Again, I like how I'm doing this after we have an entire project already recorded, mastered, and released, but I was looking into what the heck is this song about? There's actually a direct quote from Steven Tyler, which I love. It says, "It's about the hunger to be somebody. Dream until your dreams come true. This song sums up the shit you put up with when you're in a new band. Most of the critics panned our first album and said we were ripping off the Stones."
Wow.
I don't think there's too much of a question about what it's about, so that's good.
Right.
It's good for us.
It is good.
So this song, I'm gonna expose myself here a little bit. I was really into Glee growing up. That was, I know, a lot of people hate me for that, but I am who I am.
Glee was awesome.
Glee, it was a fantastic show, and they had one particular episode where Matthew Morrison and Neil Patrick Harris, there's those two characters, actors, I guess, characters they were playing in the show. They did kind of a sing-off with Dream On. And so that was the first time that I had heard that song, was their cover. And I always had fun listening to it. Like, that song builds, you know, it starts off, it definitely has like curvature, right? Yeah. I think Time in a Bottle is a little bit more, it's a little bit more here, but right. Dream On is fun because it really kind of grows. Yeah.
So. Time in a Bottle is probably more singer-songwriter, right? And
yes, definitely.
And Dream On is more almost prog band or something. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like operatic somehow.
Yeah.
It has a lot of contour.
This is kind of one example of a song that we picked that when you think of Dream On by Aerosmith, you don't really think of Trey Henry and Kalen Henry the same. Oh. So I like that we picked it, you know, I like that we were able to show that we can, you know, do other stuff besides what I think is becoming expected of us from our other projects and such.
I was kind of starting to maybe work with this vocal trio. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, kind of doing some three-part harmony type stuff. So I put together Dream On because I heard one of the singers on a YouTube channel singing something. I thought, that's kind of a cool song to do. And then as you get into it, like we talked about, there's all this contour, there's all these parts, there's a lot of sections in that song. How do we make all this sort of fit? And also incorporating three-part harmony through much of the song.
Yeah.
So anyway, I finished it, sent it to them, and it kind of went nowhere. So, as I always do, I bribed my daughter. Said, "Come on, it's time to do about 1 million vocal tracks." So yeah. I remember we just sort of sat down. It took a long time to do it, I remember.
Oh yeah.
And we went through the whole thing, and you know, there's always a point where I'm like, it's gonna work. You know, you're never entirely sure, and then but there's always a point where it's like, it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I remember that when we got partway through probably the first verse or something. The bones of it were there, and then I sent it, basically just the idea, to Paul Viapiano, my co-producer and the guitar player on this project. And he says, "Yeah, I kind of like this." And then he sent me basically what it is now, and my mouth is just hanging over. It's like, wow.
That's always the result with Paul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so that was a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
Come together.
I remember that whole process of you writing out all of the parts and having this whole idea for the song for these particular people, and then it didn't pan out, and then I stepped in. I was presented the opportunity.
You were forced. No, but the cool thing about it is that, I mean, you're the type of artist where, like you were describing before, it's just, I'm just going to do my thing on this. Mm-hmm. If you have a voice like you have, you know, with rare exceptions, your thing is going to work. But that's kind of a fun thing, right? Where it's like, no, just do your thing, and you have faith that those things will mesh.
Yeah.
And they do. And if they don't, you don't put it on the album.
No, it goes into the discard pile.
It goes into fail. So it's 3-part harmony you're talking about. So we're working on this 3-part harmony, and I think we tripled each. Do we double or triple each voice?
I think we tripled to make it really, really big.
Really big. So what is your approach to that? Because we talked about doubling voices before, but when you're doubling, tripling inner parts, and I wish I had Logic open right now so I could play some of the examples of the odd angular phrases you have to sing in order for this 3-part harmony stuff to work. So, but how do you approach that?
So that's a little bit more involved, for sure. I definitely need to use my ear, and I need to hear what I'm supposed to be singing and producing. I need to hear that usually several times. Sometimes my ear is able to kind of predict where the notes and these things that you've composed, I'm sometimes able to kind of mentally predict where the next one is gonna fall, and usually that's helpful to a speedier kind of learning process. But I usually like to, of course, first establish the melody line, the lead vocal line. And then I like to immediately get the higher part out of the way, because I don't like to sing high very much. That's not my most comfortable spot in the range. So I like to get that one out of the way. And once I have those two down, since it's 3-part harmony, then it would just be the nice cozy kind of lower part that I can just slide right in there. And that's just personal preference, really. I don't know if there's any actual like scientific purpose of doing it that way. I can kind of hear your vision when you come to me with the harmonies, and I can hear how the puzzle pieces are supposed to fit together. I can hear it, and then I'm like, okay, and I'm able to do that. But on to song number 5, Eleanor Rigby. Let me go look at all the goods. All right, you want to guess when this song? Are you just gonna guess 1972 for the whole time?
1972.
No, it's 1966. It's when Eleanor Rigby was released. It was written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney of the Beatles. Who? Okay, I'm gonna tell a story about Eleanor Rigby. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Eleanor Rigby. It's another song that I grew up listening to amongst you people, the Henry family people.
Part of the stew, the musical
yeah.
stew.
Oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm. I like the Beatles. There's 2 members of our family who do not really like the Beatles, and I think that's kind of weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, you're one of them.
This is what I say.
All right, let's hear it.
I've always loved the songs.
Okay.
But the sound of the band was always a weird thing.
To each their own. I remember Mom driving us around in the Ford Expedition, and she would have that one. I should know what album it was, but I don't. She'd have it going on her CD player in the car, and I just memorized all of those songs that way, and Eleanor Rigby was one of them. When I was little, my favorite thing about Eleanor Rigby, listening to it, was the string quartet component of the song. I thought that was really beautiful. And so of course I memorized it. That's what I did with songs I really liked when I was little. I just memorized everything about it, the lyrics, melody. Flash forward several years to high school, being in choir, in chamber choir. And one of our finals was to sing a solo to the entire group. And I forced you now, you father, I forced you to be my bassist and come make my solo more interesting and make me look good and play bass. And we did an acoustic arrangement, just bass and voice, of Eleanor Rigby.
So you're the one who picked that song. I was wondering where that song came from. Okay.
I picked that song because that just was in the depths of my mind from childhood, just like the Nat King Cole stuff is just back there. So I picked Eleanor Rigby, and we did a pretty good job. I think people enjoyed it. They applauded. That's great, you know.
I just remember the guppy look because, you know, that version we did was like, it was bass.
People were like, what is happening?
It was just a drone. I made just like one note droning pretty much all the way through with some like weird voice leading stuff on the bass. And I just remember looking out at these poor high school kids, and they're just like going, like, you know, what are you doing to this song?
Yeah, they're like, are you okay? So I think that was the first cover we did outside of Nat King Cole. So then that, of course, led to 17 other songs. Yeah. But so that is the little origin story for Eleanor Rigby.
The whole arc of the arrangement is sort of adapted from that.
Yeah.
The choir duo thing we did.
Right. Which is why it kind of starts off a little bit.
With a drone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The arrangement that's on Blurred is, you know, it's not that. It's orchestrated for, it's a weird orchestration. It's orchestrated for synths and pads and colors. Mm-hmm. And then my dearest friend Ray Brinker basically is just hammering away on the drums.
Yeah, he's just going nuts in the background.
It's pretty cool. And again, Paul Viapiano has such smart, cool production techniques when the vocals bone dry, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as the verse starts, this reverb sets in. It's like this whole other, it's really pretty fun. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's the big a cappella sort of choir thing in the middle, which has some pretty crunchy voice.
Harmonies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's another one of those situations where you have to sing lines that are a half step apart.
Yeah.
And I know that. I mean, I couldn't do that.
Nope. Yeah. But I can.
I don't know if that's a good thing, by the way.
What do you mean? It's good.